Hi everyone, welcome to my analysis compilation number 21. This is where we look at incidents, collisions and near misses and look at what every party could have done differently to avoid it happening. That seemed pretty obvious on camera, but it's a little different when you're driving. This video has been kindly sponsored by Car Vertical. So were there any clues apart from the obvious that could have led my viewer to realise that this silver vehicle to the left was going to try and turn right? Simply, I don't think there was. The driver's not hesitant to merging and they stay in the lane. When they put their signal on at this point, there's no excuses for not seeing it. From my viewer's seating position, it's not in one of the A-pillar blind spots. Should this silver car be turning right from there? Absolutely not, but I think my viewer should do more to fix this situation. There's no way in the world I'd be going past this silver car until I knew exactly where it was going. But I do think my view was possibly a little complacent because we often see people going ahead with this right signal on, even though it's definitely not required. This is now a further clue that there's extra danger. The brake lights have come on. Why would you need to slow down for that corner? I'm pretty sure the insurance company of the silver car will be picking up the tab for this one. But I've got a further point just to leave you with. Do you think the driver of the silver car thought that they could do this roundabout from the left lane because the exit that they were taking was only the second one? This clip doesn't end in a collision, but it is pretty close. The mistake that's made is identical from my viewer and the silver vehicle that's third in the queue from the other side. At a crossroads like this between my viewer and the vehicles the other side, no one has priority. Both road users only look right and left and fail to read the vehicle in front. For me though, if I was crossing the path of someone, I would let them go first and just sit still. And this next clip perfectly demonstrates why looking in all directions as often as you can is vitally important. Oops, let's have a little look to see how and why this happened. The van driver holds back correctly to not block the junction, and they even gesture for my viewer to go. But I don't think my viewer takes this space positively enough. They hesitate. They then pause again, which communicates to the van driver that they're not willing or ready to take this space. They then both continue without looking at the other. You have to be really careful when changing your mind after you've let someone go, but you also need to be really careful in case the person who has let you go changes their mind. Do you know if the car you drive has been previously damaged? If it has and you didn't know about it, when you come to sell it, it might be worth less than you thought. Imagine you owned this red 2018 Golf GTD, and when you were selling it, someone showed you this Car Vertical report with its detailed history of its previous damage. You're going to have to offer a decent discount for this car to sell. This particular Golf was damaged within 4 months of it being registered in January 2019, and we can see the extent of this damage from the multiple photos in the following month. There's been a heavy hit at the front and also the rear offside shows some significant damage. Some of the airbags have been deployed on the inside, which means there's a fair bit to fix on this desirable motor. It's definitely repairable though, because the insurance write-off has been marked as a Category S. This Golf hasn't been stolen and the mileage records seem okay. We can see by the timeline it's passed its MOT ever since it required one when it was 3 years old. In fact, we can see its last successful one was in September this year. I'd be happy purchasing this car, but I wouldn't want to pay top dollar for it knowing its history. And when it came to sell it, I wouldn't want to be hit with a nasty surprise. Please check out my link in the description, and by using the promo code Ashley when you're checking out your next potential purchase, you can save yourself 10%. Thanks Car Vertical. I got asked by my viewer in this clip who did I think was at fault. So let's have a look at it. It's the blue car in front and the silver one coming second from the opposite direction that we're watching. Hopefully you were able to see that both vehicles clipped wing mirrors. But as normal, I'm not going to attribute blame. We're going to look at what each could have done differently. The first thing I'd like to say is both vehicles were moving. If you ever get into a situation like this, stop, because if you've stopped, you can't hit anyone. This situation though is definitely caused by the driver of this blue car. Already we can see, even before they reach the oncoming vehicles, they're way too far over to the right hand side. The driver of the first white oncoming car has done a good job. They've got the wheel close to the curb and they've avoided a collision, but me in this situation, I still would have come to a stop. Remember the phrase, less space, less speed. But now look how closely the second oncoming vehicle is travelling behind the first. The person driving this car had no time to work out the space, or lack of, that they had to work with. Combine this with the low sunlight, which is obviously coming from behind and to the left, and I'm not surprised there was a wing mirror clipped. But the way the blue car driver seems to accelerate off after the contact is the head shake moment. For me here there's only two choices. Did the lorry driver not see my viewer, or did they crash into them on purpose? I think it's an obvious didn't see. As I have my lorry licence, I totally understand lorry blind spots. And my viewer could have reduced risk by being closer up towards the Volvo. They're sat right at an area where they might not be seen. This is the worst place that you can be with a lorry. Even if they'd moved forward a little bit closer to the black Volvo and then dropped away, it would have been much better.
Fucking hell, man. Me.
Yes, the lorry driver was poor, but my viewer could have done much more to get out of that situation. It's lovely to see so many of my viewers using VFO dashcams, and your support is much appreciated. This is the A119 version 3, and it's one of the cheapest models, but if you wish to save a further 5%, use the code Ashley and check out the links in the description. Now, it's the Volvo that we're watching. It's tailgating the vehicle in front. It's already aborted one attempt to overtake, and the driver's obviously frustrated, but watch what they do when they finally get past. We can see the speed in the bottom left hand corner, and we're showing 27 miles an hour, but it's not going to stay like that. When the driver of the Volvo finally overtakes, they're going to show just how much of a rush they actually were in. They slow down. Unfortunately, behaviour like this is all too common. We haven't heard this for a while, but I bet that Volvo driver wouldn't have done this to a police car. You may have spotted just after the Volvo started the overtake, we changed to a 40 miles an hour limit, and now the Volvo's doing 24 and dropping. I hope someone shows this driver this footage and they can see what an absolute melon they are. This one's quite simply a strange one. Watch this black Ford entering the roundabout in front of my viewer. I've no idea how they came to do that, but the driver of the Golf that was just hit is running away. What's going on there? The guy in front looks bemused, but luckily, and not surprisingly, there's a police car coming the other way. The driver of the Golf that ran off must have been up to no good, because pretty obviously they were being followed by these police cars. Yeah, and there's another one coming up in a moment. This also made me wonder what the conversation was like between the driver of the black car and the police. And what about also what the fella thought who ran off? How's his luck? In a strange way, it's probably helped him, because I'm pretty sure he would have got a pull by one of these police cars a bit further up the road. In this final clip, there's also a change of decision, and it also results in a collision. Awkward one this. My viewer nicely dealt with the pedestrians that were difficult to see, but it's the vehicle behind we're watching.
Video protected. Video protected.
As you can see, there was a fair bit of damage, and thankfully no one was injured. At the time of making this video, I'm not sure whether the Kia was written off, but the driver of the Range Rover's insurance are picking up the tab. My viewer came up with his own correct analysis with this situation. He was happy he'd prevented a potential head-on collision. In hindsight, he realised the oncoming vehicle wasn't accelerating hard and was perhaps leaving the overtaking vehicle time to finish. He also said once the vehicle started to overtake, he thought that they were fully committed and he failed to think that they could possibly abandon.
Video protected.
My viewer accepted the
Video
small part
protected.
they played in this situation. Fingers crossed the Range Rover driver accepted the large part that they played. Keep safe everyone. I'll see you soon.